Chandranath, is my Jupyter notebook visible to all?
Yeah, it is now. It is visible.
Okay. So last day we stopped at the regression code. Okay. So we'll be starting with multiple regression analysis. I have taken the IPL data set. And I have also discussed logistic regression. I will do the coding for logistic regression in tomorrow's class. Today we will be discussing once again the code and we'll see what other things we can do over the code. Okay. Last time we have a problem. So I've just written the code for your benefit so that it doesn't consume much time. These are the Panda, NumPy, Seaborn and Matplotlib library that we'll be using. I have already written this code. Then we have defined the categorical features and the X features. We have defined all the features in the X feature file. Last time I haven't taken this line, and we have defined the categorical features, and I have defined the X features. I have stored all the features, X parameters in the X features. Okay, all the columns of that file in the X feature. So if you have series of independent variables, you need to store them in the X feature. Then what I did, then I used the get dummies function. Okay, I use the get dummies function to replace the categorical variables, okay, with dummy variables. Then I use the stat model. Okay, I defined X, I defined Y, I defined the train vector, train X, train test X, train Y, test Y. This is the format. I will share the standard code with you, and then I use the SM from the stat model. SM.ols implies this ordinary least square function from the stat model. Okay, so by running this code, just press run 3-4 times. Okay, it happens sometimes in Python. Press run 3-4 times, you get the required result for the multiple regression. Now see how the result looks. The model is OLS, the R square value is 0.554. Okay, in this model the R square is 0.554. Now see, in this particular model, I think we have been discussed the concept of significant variables. Now, if the p-value, see here for each of the variables, the p-value is given. Yes, Somen Das, I will come. Let me come. Where is Somen Das? Yeah. Somen Das, you are allowed to speak. Tell me. I have unmuted you probably. Just check it. Chandranath, am I the host?
You are the host.
I'm trying to unmute Somen Das. Can you just do it?
We can only request Somen Das to unmute.
Somen Das, you can unmute yourself and tell me the question. Somendas, you can unmute yourself and tell me the question if you have a question. Otherwise, we will move. Okay. So now see, we have all the variables. We have the corresponding coefficients. Coefficients means the beta for each of the variables, and we have the t statistic value. Okay, and we have the p value. Now the concept is the p value for the variables less than 0.05, since alpha, okay, level of significance alpha is 0.05, that means the p value will be alpha 0.05 means we are 99, we are doing with a confidence interval of 99%. Okay, so alpha, if the p value of a variable in Python, see this is the p value of each of the variable. If the p value is less than 0.05, only those features will be considered to be significant features. Okay, now in this particular table only see for HS, for average 2, only the variable average 2, HS, average, okay, and country England. These are the 4 variables that have come to be significant. But out of 26 variables, only 4 values are contributing. Okay, this is not very convincing. That means when this kind of case happens, that out of a lot of variables, only 4 value coming out to be significant, it means the model has got multi-collinearity in it. Okay, what is multi-collinearity? I will share the code, don't worry about the code. Multi-collinearity is the effect when 2 or 3 variables have very high correlation within them. We need to remove them. Okay, when the data set has a large number of independent variables, then few of the independent variables may have high correlation. Okay, presence of multicollinearity destabilize the model. Very important points. Presence of multicollinearity will destabilize the model. Okay, and what happens due to multicollinearity? A statistically significant variable, independent variable, may be labeled as insignificant, as it has happened in this case. Here, many of the statistically significant variables are labeled. Only out of 26, 4 variables are significant. How we can tell it is significant? By checking the p value. If p value less than alpha, we tell that it is significant. So we need to check the multi-collinearity. How to check the multi-collinearity? We check the multi-collinearity with something called the variance inflation factor. Okay, we will check the multi-collinearity with VIF. Okay, I have defined a function for VIF. I will share the code, you don't need to worry. This is the function for VIF. See, if you run it, you will get the VIF for each of the variables. Okay, so these are the VIF for each of the variables. So What is the funda? Funda is that we will select those features that VIF value of more than 4. Okay, we will be checking VIF of the columns with more than 4. Okay, so we have the VIF, we will check the columns of the variables which have VIF more than 4. So columns with large VIF factor more than 4 we have taken. Okay. Then we will also see the heat map. What does the heat map gives us? The heat map gives us the correlation between the various variables. Okay, this is the heat map. See, what does it mean? It means on one of the columns you have all the variables and on the rows you have the same variables. So see, it gives a measure of correlation between each of the two independent variables. Okay, by studying this heat map, okay, to avoid multicollinearity, we will keep only one column of a highly correlated variable. If two variables are highly correlated, by highly correlated we mean 0.7, 0.8, okay, we will keep only one of the variables out of the two variables. Okay, so this heat map gives you a measure of the correlation between the two variables. So from the heat map and from the VIF, we have come to know the columns to be removed are T runs, the columns to be removed are T runs, T wickets, runs S, HS, average, run C. These are the columns that we need to remove. So we form the new feature, X new features, where we have a previous set of X features, and we have deducted the columns to be removed. See, column, here is a very interesting data structure. Column to be removed is a list, but for applying set operation, we have changed both X feature and column to be removed into two sets, such that we can remove X feature contains all the 26 features and columns to be removed set contains only these T runs, T wickets, runs, etc. So if we deduct this to set, we get those features which are required in current case. That is the features you require, you don't want to remove. So once you have done it, you again get the VIF of these new X features. Now see, all the VIFs of this new feature are less than 4. What we did from the heat map and previous variance insulation factor, we took out the features that needs to be removed. We have removed the new feature, we have removed those features from the X feature set, and then we again found the VIF and see all the VIFs in this new feature. There are 18 variables. all the new features have BIF less than 4. Okay, so now we can tell that there is no more multicollinearity present in the data set. So addressing multicollinearity is a very important task of doing multiple linear regression. Okay, once you have removed this multicollinearity, then you need to again run the model. Once you have removed this multicollinearity, then you again run the model. Model running means we did it in last class, train X. Now we train X on the X new features. Very important point. Because if we take X features, that will have all 26 columns. But we will be requiring only the new features, that is the 18 features listed here. So we train X based on these 18 features. We run the model and get the see what is the difference. Now the R square, which was 55%, comes out to be 77%. Okay. Okay. After removing multicollinearity, now check which are the features. Again, use the same logic. Use the logic p-value will be less than alpha. Check which are the features that are significant for describing this sold price. We will find that the country India, country England, Sixer and captaincy experience 1 are the significant variables. Let's see. Country India, country England has less than 0.05 p-value, country India has less than 0.05 p-value. Then we have Sixers, 0.05 p-value Sixers, and then we have captaincy experience 1, 0.03, that is less than 0.05. So these are my significant variables. So after removing multicollinearity, the variables which are significant will be used to train the model. We will remove all the other variables and we will only keep these 4 variables to train the model. See, we see from the last table that only country India, country England, all of these are having p-value less than alpha. Alpha is 0.05. Okay, alpha is the level of significance. So these 4 variables, these 4 independent variables are significant to describe the sold price. So I define the significant variables. I train X based on these significant variables and then I run the model once more. The code I am using is a very standard code of multiple linear regression. Whatever data set you have, you just need to change the variables and use this code. I will share this code with all of you. Okay, and you take a new data set and run this code of multiple linear regression. Okay. Okay, so what does it mean? If these 4 variables are significant variables, this means that the features that decide the sold price are whether the players belong to India or England, how many sixes the players have hit in the previous version of the IPL, okay, whether the player has a previous captaincy experience or not. These are the features that will define the models. Okay, this is my final model. what can be derived from the model? See, all the variables here are more than or less than 0.05. So all of the variables have a p-value less than 0.05, that is variables are significant. The overall model is significant because the F statistics is less than 0.05. The F statistics implies, okay, the F statistics implies whether the overall model is significant. P-value for the F statistics, see, P-value for the F statistics is 1.13 to the power minus 20, okay? So it means it is much less than 0.05, and the overall significance of the model is given by this F statistics, P-value of the F statistics. The R-square value is, the R-square value of this model is 71.5. The R-square value of this model is 71.5. See the R-square value. Okay, it means that 71% of the variance in sold price, okay, can be explained by the model. So 71% of the variation in sold price can be explained by the independent variables of the model. Okay, and the adjusted R-square value of 70.4%, okay, it is a measure that is calculated after normalizing the sum of square errors and sum of total squares, okay. So we define the model by the R-square value. R-square value of 71.5 implies that the variance in sold price, okay, 71% of the variance in sold price can be explained by the model. That is the explanation of the multiple regression model. Now we will do something called the, after doing this model you need to do the residual analysis. Okay, why is this residual analysis done? The residual analysis is done to test the normality of residual. Okay, one of the very important assumption of regression model was, of prediction model was that the residual should follow a normally distributed, should have a normal distribution. This can be verified using the residual analysis. Before using this ordinary least square model, I have defined the assumption of regression model is that the error should be normally distributed. Okay, so to check whether the normality test of residual exists or not, we do residual analysis. I have defined the function for this residual analysis, and we will this is the function for residual analysis, and we will draw the PP curve. This is the function for the PP plot, and we will run the function on this IPL model 3. See, this is a function defined. You don't need to go into the deep depth of the function. Just for implementation, you use this function for drawing a PP plot and change the model name. You use this exact function. Just you need to change the model name. See, I am trying to find the, for model IPL model 3. I am trying to find the PP plot for IPL model 3. So I have, sorry, is my screen visible? I'm trying to, is my screen visible? Yeah, Shomendas, you have been asked to unmute. You can ask your question. I'm drawing for this PP plot for IPL model 3. Okay. Now after that you need to go for check for homoscedasticity. What does it stand for? It stands for, if the homoscedasticity means that the variance of the error is constant. I told that the error will follow a normal distribution and the variance of the error should be constant. So to check homoscedasticity, we plot what x-axis will plot the predicted value and on y-axis will plot the standardized residual values. On x-axis we will be plotting this, see the function. On x-axis you will be plotting the standardized predicted value and on y-axis you will be plotting the standardized residual value. This is also a function, just use this function and plot if this plot has a funnel-like structure, then we tell that it has heteroscedasticity. But it's a very normal plot, it doesn't have a funnel-like structure, so we don't detect heteroscedasticity in the data set. Okay? So please remember, after you do a model analysis, you find the R-square, you find the significant variables. It is very important for you to detect whether the normality condition for residuals is there, that is the residual is following a normal distribution, that you do by the PP plot, and then you do the check for homoscedasticity. If this particular curve of standardized residual values and predicted residual values is not a funnel-like structure, you tell that it is homoscedastic. If it is heteroscedastic, we have to do some kind of transformation on y. Okay, I'm not going into that. We have to do some kind of transformation, okay, of deriving new independent or dependent variables. Okay, but in this case we don't need that transformation. Do you have any questions? Now comes a very important another concept, detecting influencers. See, this is the last class on predictive analytics or the prediction model that will be used in machine learning. On next two class, I will discuss another fold of problem of machine learning. One fold of problem is called the prediction problem. I have done this with a multiple regression analysis. Another set of problem is the classification problem. I will be doing it with logistic regression. Okay? Next class I will be doing the coding of logistic regression. Now comes the concept of detecting influencers. Okay? What is meant by this? See, in OLS, just a minute. See, in OLS, we assume that each of the record in the data has equal influence on the model parameters or the regression coefficients. My regression coefficients of beta naught, beta 1, beta 2, these are my regression coefficients. So we assume that each of the record in the data has got equal contribution or equal influence on the model parameter. But this assumption might not be true. To check, okay, which and to identify the highly influential observation, okay, we will find out the leverage. Okay, we will find something called the leverage. Leverage is defined by 3 into k plus 1, k plus 1 by n. K is my number of variables and n is the total number of observation. If the leverage is more than 3 for a data point, okay, if the k is less, if leverage is more than 3, we will consider it that those are highly influential observation. So for influential observation, we will use something called the leverage. So let me see the code for leverage. K train X shape, N train X shape, okay? We print, I have already explained the shape in my first or second class. So number of variables 4 and number of observations 104. Okay, then we will define the leverage. Leverage cutoff for this is 0.114. Okay, so values more than that will be considered to be highly influential. Now let us have a plot for the influence. Okay, I have used once more a function. I'll share the code, you will use the same function. You don't need to reinvent the wheel. You don't need to define the function because it's nothing great in reinventing a wheel. So see, the point 23, 83 and 58, these are highly leverage, okay? These are having high leverage with residuals. And what we need to do, we need to filter out these observations. Okay, we need to filter out these observations. These are the observations. Okay, we need to filter out these 3 observations. We will use the drop function for that. My train X new will be train X dot drop. We'll drop these 3 entire rows. See, for row we have used axis equals to 0. For columns we have used axis equals to 1. So we will drop these 3 rows from the entire train X new and train Y new. Okay. Now comes another concept of transformation. I'm just showing you transformation response variable. When it will be useful if there is heteroscedasticity. Okay, transformation of Y may be useful when When there is a low R squared value, pattern in the residual show a non-linear shift between dependent and the independent variable. When we have low response value, we can use the transformation. We can use the transformation when the pattern in the residual analysis shows a non-linear relationship. Residuals does not follow normal distributions, and residuals are not homoscedastic. When residuals is not following a normal distribution and residuals are not homoscedastic, that is from the PP plot and from the residual plot you see that residuals is not following a normal and it is not homoscedastic. We use transformation of response variables. We can take a square root transform. How it is done? Train underscore y is nothing big equal to numpy sqrt square root of y. This will be my new train y, and you will have a IPL underscore model underscore 4. The fourth model will be sm.ols train y train x dot fit, then IPL underscore model underscore 4 dot summary 2. Now see, the R square of the model has been increased from 71% to 75%, okay? And the 4 variables are significant, and the overall model is also, probability of F statistics show that the overall model is also significant. Okay? Now if you draw the PP plot for the model, you use the draw. I have defined the draw PP plot function previously, so I have just called that function draw PP plot for the IPL model 4, and you name it as figure, okay, PP plot of regression. Just name it something like this. Okay. Now, one important thing is that you need to make predictions validation set. We have done predictions on the training set. We need to do validation on the prediction set. Okay. How to do that prediction? So after the final model is built and the model has passed all the diagnostic tests like the residual test, the outlier test, everything, we need to apply the model on the validation set to predict the sold price. Okay. MP power why it's a power? Because remember, you have taken a square root. predict10x and power is 2. Okay. Now measure the R root mean square error. We'll measure the root mean square error. How will you do? RMSE measuring root mean square error will do from sklearn import matrix np square root. What is the metric? Metric dot mean underscore squared error for predicted y and test y. This is how the root mean square. Now let me see. It will be metric, sorry, not metric. From a scalar import matrix, np square root matrix dot mean underscore sq PID underscore error red y test y. Okay, there must be inconsistency in the sample as showing. I have to check the sample. Okay, but just have to check the sample once. But this is the standard form of finding the root mean square error. Okay. So with this is just to find the root mean square error. I will check once. Why is this? Just a minute. Where do I put NP power IPL model? Sorry, here I have done a mistake. It is with the test x. Here it will be test x and then train x. See, this is the root mean square error. Okay, the error is, we have solved the error. So what we have done a college is taking online exam. This exam will be treated as extreme for the fourth semester. I can't get your question. Hello, Paramita. Paramita, your question is not clear. I will just unmute you after the class to answer you. See, we have done on the training set. Now we did of making prediction on the validation set. Okay, we have taken the power because we have taken a transformation of y previously, and we have import matrix from sklearn to see the mean of to see the root mean square error, and the root mean square error for this model comes out to be this much. Now calculating measuring R square value. Okay, R square value of the validation set. Previously we got the R square value for the training set. Okay, now R square value for the validation set, how we will see. Matrix R score grade underscore y comma test underscore y. See, every time we have to give a grade and pay. Okay, the accuracy on validation set is 44%, which is quite low as the accuracy reported by the training set. What was my R square on training set? My R square on training set is 75.1%. Okay, so it means if the R square between the training and the testing set has quite a large difference, it means that there is a problem called overfitting. Okay, my test R square, this is my validation R square, 0.44 is my, let's write it as 0.751, that will be easier for you. My validation R square is 0.44. My training set R square is 0.751. So that means there lies a problem called overfitting. Okay, we will discuss in logistic regression what is meant by the problem in overfitting. Do you have any questions? I will share the code with the admin so that all of you can use this multiple regression code for your data set. This is a generalized code. Okay, in the code we have discussed how to develop a model, how to check the multicollinearity using various inflation factor, then how to do residual analysis, then how to check heteroscedasticity. If there is heteroscedasticity, how to do transformation of variables, then how to make prediction on validation set, then measuring R square and for validation set and measuring root mean square error. Okay, these are the things that we have done on the multiple regression model using Python. So with this we will stop prediction model. Next day we will do a classification problem in logistic regression. Okay, so machine learning deals with regression problem or prediction problem and classification problem. Regression or prediction problem is done. So on next class we will do classification problem. Parumita Chando, you have asked a question that is related to JIS Engineering College. I am not a part of JIS Engineering College, so you can ask this particular question to your faculty concerned in that college. I am not being able to answer this. Okay. Anything more? Shomen Das, I have unmuted you. You can try to talk if you want to ask me some question. You have raised your hand from the very beginning. Okay. So I think with this, We can stop for today. I'll stop the meeting, okay?